All right, everybody, collect yourselves. Whew. Okay, boys.
Hey, Destiny, what's up, my man?
Hey, what's up, Max? Too? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty great. Haven't watched your stream too often. Try to tune in whenever I can. My friend's a big fan of you, though,
Cool.
and he told me to come in here because we have a lot of talks. I get out a little more than him, but I'm like an avid Trump supporter, very avid.
Okay, so
Uh,
then hold on, just to clearly establish right now, you are an avid Trump supporter, not somebody that just doesn't like Hillary, right? You actually think that Trump is the good man for the job and everything, right?
I hate Hillary, but
But
I think that Trump's the best man for the job.
okay, like good, not just better than Hillary, but you think he's actually like he'll be a good
No,
president, right?
I think he's gonna be good. I think he'll
Okay.
be better. I think he would have been better than Johnson.
Okay.
Stein.
Sure. All right. So, all right, buddy, hit me up. Give me.
Asshole.
Let's talk about the reasons why you like Trump. Okay. Let's go. Let's go
All
down
right.
him. Okay.
So this is hard, right? I'm gonna tell you right now.
Uh huh.
I'm gonna tell you right now. My biggest weak spots is when people say climate change, because all the other issues kind of link into each other.
Okay. So
Climate
then
change is a
we'll
big
move.
one.
Okay, we'll move past climate change. We both acknowledge that Trump is probably a little bit fucking retarded when it comes to climate change, right? Do we?
Now, all right. Now I know. You're like, oh shit, his retard sensors are going off. This guy's actually retarded. He doesn't believe in climate change. No. So this is my thing, right?
Uh huh.
I have a very odd stance where I think that some of the outlets that have given out information on climate change might have a bit of a special interest in it being true. I think that people who are against climate change also have a special interest in it being true, or not true, rather. So I think it's a touchy subject. I did some research. I know that in a UN conference on global warming, I haven't done it in a while. I know that they did research on global warming, and scientists said, all the stuff, the carbon dioxide increasing, and then they said, well, it's not conclusive that humans did it, or that's because of humans, and they deleted that from the report, and they kind of just used it as a political football, and I think that might have started spiraling things. But I'm not saying climate change is definitely not true.
Okay.
There's
Hold
a
on. Hold
good
on.
chance
Can
that it
can
is.
you talk to me specifically about what you're referring to? Because I'm unaware of
Yes,
this.
I can. 1996.
1996. We're going back
Deletion.
20 years, dog.
Yeah, and you could say that after 20 years, they kind of came up and they said, well, UN and all these scientists, now they have concluded that it's due to humans. But I don't
I
think
wouldn't say like
anyone,
concluded, but like highly likely. Okay, listen here.
highly
I'm gonna
likely.
find a middle ground that we can both agree on. I think. Okay, I think that it's safe to say that a large number of the claims made by climate change believers were highly exaggerated in the
I
early,
agree.
in the mid '90s, late '90s, and the early 2000s. Right, when you look at things like An Inconvenient Truth and whatnot, that was uh, Gore's climate change film, right?
I mean, I wasn't. I'm a pretty young dude, but I do my research. I know Gore is very active, polar bears and shit.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to deny that. Okay. That there were
Yeah.
claims that like literally by 2010 we would like all the world's ice would be melted. Right. There were definitely claims that were made that were a little bit exaggerated. Okay. But the stance that global warming is 100% a hoax pushed onto us from China to make our manufacturing non-competitive is
Okay.
probably
Uh, he says things. He puts foot in the mouth. I'm not gonna say he's a perfect
he
guy.
tweeted that thing like 20
Yeah, I
times.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is
And
just
then he
one
said
bad
during
thing
the
he said.
debates it wasn't true,
I
but he
supported
said it.
Bernie, okay, and I think 15 an hour minimum wage across the whole country is retarded as fuck, okay? So just because he says one bad thing doesn't make him a bad person. But we can agree on the climate change thing. He's probably a little bit retarded, right?
Well, all right. Hang on. Well, let me
Okay.
let me let
All
me let
right.
me put my feet in the ground, right?
Okay.
So Trump says things before giving evidence, and a lot of the time he puts his feet in his mouth. He tweeted multiple times he thinks it's a hoax from China, and then said during the debates he didn't when he did. And my stance on that is, I think that the world is, and this is a little far, but I swear I'll come full circle. I think the world is kind of one big chess game, and there's being deals made all around. There's always something happening, And I think world leaders, especially, pay close attention to what's going on around them. I don't think China is the main source of global warming, but I think that they would have a special interest in it being true. In so that a lot of their I watched Before the Flood. I don't know if you watched that. Do you know
No.
about that Leonardo DiCaprio movie?
No, I haven't.
And that's in favor of global warming being true. But in the movie, they go into detail on how a large amount of China's factories are not following the standards that they said they would, which is why they are catapulted in front of the United States and other neighboring countries.
Do you think that's the primary reason
reason for what?
why they're ahead of us in manufacturing?
Um, I wouldn't say it's the primary reason, but I think it's definitely denting.
Okay, it might be a
That
little
a
bit of a
lot.
factor, but do you think that all the like NASA is on board with China, that there are infiltrators inside NASA that are pushing out this climate change info to help China?
No, I think NASA has other special interests as well.
Has other what?
Special interests in climate change being real, as in there's a
Okay, but
big
we already
market
said
in
that
green energy.
like the climate change, like everybody has a special interest in climate change on both sides, right? Everybody literally has. Like it's impossible not to,
true.
right?
That's true. I think Coke gives money to kind of everybody in the Koch brothers. So I wouldn't say so much. I think that it's being made straying from evidence towards politics, which I do not think
So do you
when
think
it comes to
there's
science is
very
ever a good
little? You
thing.
think there's little evidence for climate change, or what?
No.
You
I
think
think
there's little
there's
evidence for?
monstrous evidence for climate change, and I think that's not due to it being evidence, but it being to uh, political, for lack of a better word.
Okay, so you're saying that there's a lack of real scientific evidence from organizations around the world that are collaborating together to piece together what's going on with our planet? You think that there's a lack of actual scientific evidence, that all of it is politically motivated, or the majority of it is?
Well, I swear I'm not trying to beat around the bush, but evidence is very keen to being interpreted in many different ways, and I think the ways that they could be interpreting it
Can
could
you give me
draw
an
many other
example of something that you think
conclusions.
is a misinterpretation of current climate data science?
I can give you one that's actually on the opposing view side. I
Sure,
think there's many on both sides, but
sure.
one is by Ted Cruz when he says that the Earth hasn't heated in 19 years, or however many
How
since.
can you say that when the past of the past 13 years, 12 have been the hottest on record? How can you make that statement?
Oh no, he's right, but he's right in saying that it hasn't heated. But that was because 19 years ago, we had an El Nino, and it was hot as fuck. It was so hot that it's been hot. No year on Earth has been as hot as
So
that
El
year, and
Nino
that
is
was because of other
100% to
reasons.
explain for why we are
No,
hotter now
no,
than we ever
no.
have been
That
at
is
any
him
point in.
misinterpreting the info.
Oh, no! I want you to
That
give me somebody misinterpreting it on the pro climate change side,
main, the Earth is definitely heating.
and it's
It's
probably at this point. I think most scientific organizations agree that it's due to human causes.
and that's where I think it's skeptical.
Okay, so
I
like,
wouldn't
what is
say
your
for
example
sure.
of like a data that you disagree with, or something that you disagree with? I'm asking you because most scientists seem to agree that global warming is caused by mankind activities. So I'm asking what you're citing or what you've seen that makes you disagree with the prevailing scientific thought on the issue. Is what I'm curious.
I had a website here. It doesn't take a lot long to pull it up. Skeptical Science, gigatons, and that'll come right up. And it went into detail on carbon emissions and the amount of carbon emissions compared to human emissions, and then the entire world, measured in gigatons. Gigatons. I did the math on this a while ago for a little bio project. It was something about two 2 trillion. It was a huge fucking number. It was a 1 gigaton equaled like that many pounds, and it was said that the ocean had billions of these gigatons. The trees, and I think maybe volcanoes. I'm a little rough in my knowledge because this is off the cuff. Had billions and millions of gigatons. It was a very big number, and then humans had like 6. And I think, well, I mean,
You know
just
that the
interpreting that
Skeptical
data.
Science website is a pro man-made climate change website, right? Like I
We're
actually
not.
had
Well,
links. I had links ready to go because I thought you were going to bring up like the cycle of the sun is one of the things that causes global warming, and all of my links come from skepticalscience.com. Like,
I don't know. I don't go on skeptical science a lot. I know that definitely that article does not help.
Can you link me the
that
article?
viewpoint. Yeah, I don't know if it's this one. Might be another.
You know that the CO2 getting stored in water has adverse impacts on the oceans as well. Like people talk about like the barrier reefs and shit that gets fucked up as a result of like more, and the fact that the ocean can't keep up with how much carbon dioxide we're emitting and whatnot. That's why there's higher parts per million or whatever in the atmosphere, whatnot as well, right? Like,
Well, I'll say this, right? Believe me, if climate change is real and there is undeniable evidence, which isn't highly exaggerated, undeniable evidence, and there's a good
okay,
middle ground to be met
real
on
fast.
how to solve it,
Sure, real
then
fast.
I will be the first to want to see it dealt with.
I'm going to read this, okay? I'm going to read this, okay? So the first part of this says climate myth. Human... fuck, hold on 1 second.
I love you, Dad. Happy birthday. Thanks for having a community of memers I can call friends.
Oh, that's actually really
Thanks,
funny. The exact climate myth that I'm reading right now on what I sent you is exactly the data I was actually citing.
Yeah, okay, so it says climate myth. Human CO2 is a tiny percentage of CO2 emissions. The oceans contain 37,400 billion tons of suspended carbon. Land biomass is 2,000 to 3,000 gigatons. The atmosphere contains 720, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is talking about the myth, okay? And then the article says, before the Industrial Revolution, the CO2 content in the air remained quite steady for thousands of years. Natural CO2 is not static, however. It is generated by natural processes and absorbed by others. As you can see in Figure 1, natural landmass and ocean carbon remains roughly imbalanced and have done so for a long time. And we know this because we can measure historic levels of CO2 in the atmosphere both directly in ice cores and indirectly through proxies. But consider what happens when more CO2 is released from outside of the natural carbon cycle. By burning fossil fuels, although our output of 29 gigatons of CO2 is tiny compared to the 750 gigatons moving through the carbon cycle each year, it adds up because the land and the ocean cannot absorb all of the extra CO2. About 40% of the additional CO2 is absorbed. The rest remains in the atmosphere. And as a consequence, atmospheric CO2 is at its highest level in 15 to 20 million years. A natural change of 100 parts per million normally takes 5,000 to 20,000 years. The recent increase of 100 parts per million has taken just 120 years. Human CO2 emissions upset the natural balance of the carbon cycle. Man-made CO2 in the atmosphere has increased by a third since pre-industrial era, creating an artificial forcing of global temperatures which is warming the planet. While fossil fuel-derived CO2 is a very small component of the global carbon cycle, the extra CO2 is cumulative because of the natural carbon exchange cannot absorb all of the additional CO2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like
so
basically what this is saying is, do you ever go to the gym or whatever?
the what?
Like, have you ever been to like the gym before or whatever?
Sure.
Okay, so let's say that a guy is benching. Okay, let's say that a guy is benching 225. Okay, so a guy is benching 225, and then you walk up to him and you throw an extra, and this is like his 1 rep max. Okay, and you throw an extra 20 pounds onto the bar, right? Obviously, he fucking drops it. There's no way that he can bench 20 pounds over his 1 rep max, right? And then you go, dude, it's just 20 pounds more. This is just 10% more. It's not even like that much compared to the total weight that you're benching, right? But that doesn't make sense. You're adding 20 pounds over what he can maximally handle, right? So if the carbon cycles of the planet have a natural balance with one another, even if what you're adding is kind of small compared to the global amount of carbon dioxide that's being exchanged between the atmosphere and the ocean, adding more to that is something that the planet isn't capable of dealing with naturally, right? So I feel like this article kind of works against what you were saying.
Yeah, it is. I kind of like slam my head on the chopping block.
Sure.
So
Okay,
All
so
right,
so let's
off this
if we back
article,
up to the original point, can we agree that Trump is a little bit retarded on climate change, or do we still not agree?
All right, a little.
A little bit retarded on climate change. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we can move on to the the next, or unless you have something more to add, I guess, if you want.
Well, this is important because I would understand if certain Democrats would be like, okay, he does not recognize climate change. I cannot support a candidate who doesn't believe in climate change at all. It will immediately make minus 100 fucking points. He is terrible now, and it just totally ruins the deal. Is that you or no?
No. If climate change was the only bad thing about Trump, I would have embraced him with open arms compared to the shitbag that is Hillary Clinton. But we're far from done with Trump. This is just one topic.
Right. All right. Well, I can get past that.
Okay, then we'll move on to the next thing. Tell me another reason why you support Trump. We're in agreement, though, that he's probably a little retarded on climate change, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll say before that, I myself, religiously, not very. Don't really know what I am. Definitely not a militant Christian. Although I do think the principles are important. And the second thing is I'm pro-choice. Those are really the only two things. Oh, and I'm pro-gay
Okay, wait.
marriage.
So are we talking about his stance on abortion now?
Well, I disagree with it. And I also disagree with his gay marriage. But I don't think it's pivotal. I don't think it will decide his presidency.
Okay, so we disagree on abortion and we disagree on gay marriage. Okay, let's get it. What do we disagree on? Because we got a pretty bad track record for Trump now. What are the things that we disagree on?
Global warming.
I'm sorry. I mean, what are the things that we agree on that you agree that you agree with Trump? Yeah.
Pretty much everything else. And
Okay,
I don't
let's start
know
going
exactly...
through them. What else?
All right.
Or I can bring up things if you want me to.
Yeah, do that.
Okay, do you think that we should make it illegal to burn the flag?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Because it's not needed as a form of freedom of speech. It's using your freedom of speech to show the abolishment of freedom of speech.
Do you think that burning the flag shows for the abolishment of freedom of speech? Isn't that the ultimate form of freedom of speech?
How? In a form, yes. I think burning the American flag shows a disrespect of the freedom of speech.
Disrespect, sure. But isn't that kind of the point of the First Amendment, to give us the right to be disrespectful to the government? Wasn't that the whole... Let me ask you this. Why do you think the First Amendment exists?
So the government can't limit free speech and free ideas.
Okay. What types of speech do you think are protected by the First Amendment? Let's say that there is something that most people agree with, right? Let's say that we'll go like religious, right? The right to be Christian. Do you think that we would make an amendment to protect that right? Probably not, because if most people think it doesn't need protection from the government, right? It's going to be protected by society, right? The First Amendment exists to protect unpopular speech, the kind of stuff that you wouldn't want to hear, right? That's the whole point of the First Amendment. We don't need the First Amendment to protect speech that all of society agrees with, because that's protected by nature of being popular, right? The First Amendment exists to protect unpopular forms of speech. I don't understand how you could think that burning the flag is a violation or should be not protected by the First Amendment. I thought that, like, when we talk about America and the founding of America, the ability to criticize your government, to stand up and say, fuck the king, or fuck the president, or fuck this country, I thought those were, like, some of our most celebrated freedoms, and why our experiment in democracy was unprecedented around the world, because of our ability to criticize the government.
And you're correct. And these are the two things that I'm going to bring up.
Okay.
Number one, although there is no constitutional basis that the flag is sacred, and I understand that, I still think it's a complete... I mean, wait, can you agree it's a complete shitty thing to do? It just shouldn't be illegal?
Is it a shitty thing to do?
Because
I guess, like, if I was, like, a veteran or something, I might be a little bit bothered, I guess. Sure, yeah.
I mean, that leads into the second point.
Okay.
That I think that there is a significant difference between protesting the U.S. government and protesting the idea of the United States of America and what it was supposed to be, and what that flag represents. And what
but the flag is just a symbol, dog. It's not like you're actually going in and trying to change laws. It's just a symbol.
Yeah.
So then should you not be allowed to burn, like, the Constitution? Should you not be allowed to burn, like a picture of an eagle, or a picture of the map of the United States, or, like, what does it stop?
The flag.
Why just the flag? What makes the flag so special and holy? Like, it seems kind of weird, like religious almost.
It covers everything. It is the it's the symbol of the entire United States.
Wouldn't the Constitution be more likely the symbol? I mean, the flag has changed in the United States history. We've added more stars and shit to it.
Adapt to its size. The Constitution covers its government, which we seem to have a problem, and we seem to always amend. But I think it's one too far to touch the flag. I don't think it's needed to touch the flag.
How are you deciding whether it's needed or not? How are you making that decision? Whether or not somebody
needs... That's the point of Congress, right? To make decisions.
Well, but hopefully not to violate our First Amendment rights. You have the First Amendment right to criticize the government in any way you want, as long as you don't hurt somebody. I don't understand where you think you get off on telling people how they can or cannot protest the government if they're not hurting somebody else.
What does burning the flag say to you? What? No, I'm sorry. What does it say when you burn a flag?
It could be whatever you want the message to mean. I don't know. Maybe they're unhappy with the
say
government.
That message without burning the flag. I think that's...
Yeah, but you understand that when you start telling people how they're allowed to protest, you're effectively censoring free speech, like, by definition.
You're saying it could be used as a slippery slope?
No. We're past the slippery slope. But what you are doing is censoring free speech. When you start telling somebody how they're allowed to protest, when you start telling somebody how they're allowed to convey their message, what you're talking about is government censorship at that point. We're not on a slippery slope. We've already slid down the slope, and now we're at the point where we are censoring people's freedom of expression.
I I think it's just like a fundamental difference that I don't think that.
Well, it's a fundamental difference in
burning-
that my idea is American, and I don't know where the fuck you get your idea from. The point of the First Amendment and the big deal about founding the United States, the reason why we don't have kings is because we had the ability to criticize government as viciously as we wanted to, assuming we weren't hurting anybody else. That was supposed to be one of the really cool things that set America apart from everything else. That in our legal system, the fact that we have due process, that everybody is guaranteed right to a speedy public trial, right? All of these things went into ensuring our freedoms as citizens that could never, ever, 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 ever be touched by the government. That if I wanted to go outside on the fucking corner and burn a copy of the Constitution or burn the fucking flag, that as an American citizen, that's my right, because it's one of the greatest fucking freedoms we have. So when you talk about taking that freedom away because it's offensive, and the whole point of the First Amendment is to protect freedom that is offensive, when you like the same thing that protects the Westboro Baptist Church, do you want to see them legally, I guess, excised from the United States, or?
No.
Why not? Everything they do is really offensive, protesting funerals from
I
soldiers
don't
and whatnot.
think it's offensive to burn the flag. I think it's like an actual attack on my right to be able to talk. And I know it's ironic.
Wait, how is it an
that
attack on your right to be able to talk?
What the only message I get out of burning the American flag is that their end goal is to restrict speech and to be against all.
But
the
they're not
ideals
talking.
that
No
we
one
set
there.
out.
They're not talking about restricting speech. You are.
I know that's the ironic thing, ain't it? I don't think that.
But I don't think people that burn the flag are typically
Why
saying,
should
"I'm burning the
federal
flag."
government protect these people that are burning what we hold dearly? Why should we?
Because they're not
Why
burning
should we
what you hold
protect them?
dearly. It's just a flag. They're protecting freedom of speech, the ability to express yourself. That's the whole point. That's the reason. That's literally the reason why the federal government exists.
I never fought in a war, so I'm not going to say, oh, the flag means everything, because it doesn't. It's a flag. But for people that, and I'm going to go through the whole long fight and died, blah, 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 for the flag, I don't see any reason that the government should go out of their way and protect people that are saying, no, fuck everything that the United States stands for, which is freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and everything. I mean, I could go on, everything, and just burn the flag. And it's, if you don't, I mean, what the fuck are you protesting? If you don't,
You could be
like the
protesting a
flag, leave.
dissatisfaction of, what do you mean leave, dog? That's not
Leave
how our
the
country works. What? Do you know we can amend the Constitution? Would you say that every single time? Like, you don't like prohibition? Leave. You don't like women's suffrage? Leave. You don't like the fact that black people aren't worth people? Leave. You don't like that you can't
Yeah,
get
but
married
the
to gays?
flag is
Leave.
always going to mean the United States. You can't amend
The flag is just a
The flag
fucking
is a flag.
symbol, dog. It doesn't mean fuck all on its own. The thing that matters is the country and the people and the
That's
laws
the thing
behind
about
it.
Symbols that they
What-
don't say a lot, but they mean everything.
But they mean fuck all. I could go burn a flag right now and it's not going to hurt anybody.
I never said it was going to hurt anybody.
Well, then what's the problem with it?
It used to be illegal, you know.
Yeah, but then
To burn the
pretty
flag.
sure the Supreme Court said that it is legal. I don't think it was.
Even
I'm not
Hillary
sure if it was.
Clinton- Even Hillary Clinton wanted this thing fucking protected.
Are we talking about Hillary Clinton right now?
Yeah, Hillary Clinton said
We're
that
not
she
talking.
wanted
Well,
to
no, but we're
protect
not
the
talking about
flag.
Hillary Clinton. I don't care about Hillary Clinton. Also, the act that they tried to pass, I think in 2005, was to make it illegal to burn the flag in an insightful manner. So I think that was like to run to a police station.
insightful,
But
malicious
that's. But
protest.
first of all, we're not talking about Hillary Clinton. Okay. Secondly, what Trump says is going way farther than anything that Hillary Clinton said. So. Because Trump is talking about stripping people of their citizenship.
That's
like,
unconstitutional.
let me like.
No, you can't. You shouldn't be able to do that.
Okay, but that was his
I
tweet. He
disagree.
wanted to strip, but even to punish people. Like, I guess, like, how old are you? I'm
But
not.
it should be punishment. Yeah. Well, I'm 15. Yeah.
Okay, like the idea of, I guess maybe it's similar. I guess because we grew up kind of in different times. Like the idea, 15. The idea that you could go out and burn a flag to protest the government and hurt nobody, and then a police officer could come by and put you in jail for protesting the government, for burning the flag. Like
it
that's
goes beyond
that's.
protesting the government.
But it doesn't. That's all it is. It's a protest. You can make it more than that if you want, but.
I don't think the United States flag is a symbol of the government. It's a
But now you're
symbol-
putting meaning into that. That's you're putting meaning. Like,
Well, all right. It's not like the flag has a definition on it, and honestly, can you agree it's a touchy subject? It's not black and white.
I
mean,
think
to
that
you,
as an
it might-
American citizen that loves America and loves the Constitution and loves the freedoms that we have in the United States, when everybody always says we got more
that when
freedom of
someone
speech than
burns
anyone
the
else,
flag and
and
attacks
burning the
all
flag
those
is the
rights.
ultimate expression of that freedom. There's literally
It's the
no
ultimate expression to
there's
attack-
yes, there's no greater expression of freedom than to go into a country and see that the citizens are protected by its own government by protesting that government in whatever way they want. That's like one of the greatest parts about America. I don't know how you can't see that. That you're in a country where you can go outside and you can burn the fucking flag of your country and be protected by the government for doing it. That's like one of the coolest fucking things about being an American citizen. That's how much the government stands up for your individual freedoms and liberties. This is supposed to be one of the coolest things about being an American citizen. You can protest your own government by burning your own fucking flag. But you want to take that away because it's offensive to some? Like the whole reason why the First Amendment exists?
I think it goes farther than that.
But it doesn't go any farther than that. You're just burning a flag. We're not hurting anybody. We're not like destroying a business. Like this is.
No, you're not.
So I don't understand how you can.
It's a moral issue, and honestly, like we could go back and forth. I don't think you're gonna change my mind at least on the flag. You're
okay, but even if we don't, okay, so let's say even if we don't agree on the flag thing, you agree that stripping somebody of their citizenship as a result of doing it is probably retarded,
like I
right?
said, he put his foot in his mouth and he's like, oh, he's just gonna fucking throw that out.
Okay, let's find another thing then. How do you feel about the drain the swamp? How do you feel he's been draining the swamp so far?
So far?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in office.
Okay, but when he's talking about cabinet
With his
positions,
cabinet picks?
yeah, like the COO or ex-COO of fucking Goldman Sachs, the Breitbart dude, the T-Rex guy that he's advocating for his Secretary of State position, like, do you feel like when he's looking at people like
following his cabinet position so hard, but I can try. I know there's the thing I like about his cabinet, I like the Mad Dog Mattis pick. I don't know who's picking for Secretary of State, but on the ExxonMobil, I mean, we don't know if he's picking that guy. Mitt Romney's not really far from being a total fucking cunt, but that's fine. I think he'll make the right call on whatever he's doing.
Why? Okay, looking at his current picks, why do you think that? Because every single person that he's picked has been some kind of lobbyist or insider that's been working with Washington for a long time. And he admitted as much in a 60 Minutes interview where he said, well, everybody over here is a lobbyist, so what am I supposed to do? Tell me what faith you have. What he's picking, like, he's picking hardcore climate change denial people as, like, his positions for the EPA and whatnot. Like, how do you have faith in him and choosing the right people? Like, where are you getting this? People that, I don't know, that don't deny climate change or basic science? I don't know, people
that are out of my basement? I mean, it's Washington. What do you expect?
Wait, whoa. The whole reason why your group supported Trump was because he wasn't Washington, was because it wasn't politics as normal, was because of Obama's slogan, hope and change. No. You said all of that. Now you just told me, well, it's Washington. What do you expect? Would you have ever accepted somebody using that defense for something that Hillary did?
No.
So why is that a defense for Trump?
Because it's not Trump, it's his cabinet.
It's the cabinet picks that he is picking.
Yeah. Who else would he pick? Who else?
I don't know. Outsiders, political people that don't have a lot of experience.
Outsiders that aren't politicians. And he needs politicians on his side because he doesn't know how the fuck Washington works.
Gotcha. So then
people to be working.
So then we agree on this.
Ted Cruz.
Okay, so then we agree on this.
Trying to pass a bill to in the Senate to limit terms. For term limits.
Yeah, sure. So then we agree that Trump lied about the drain the swamp thing then. Do we agree on that?
No, I don't think he lied at all.
But he's filling the swamp with more swamp people. How can you say that he didn't walk back on that?
If Ted Cruz is a swamp guy, he's trying to pass a bill that would heavily fucking drain, if anything.
Okay, Ted Cruz is one example, okay? What about the COO or ex-COO of Goldman Sachs?
They haven't done anything.
I
couldn't tell you what they're doing because they have.
One of the major criticisms is that one of our major funders was Goldman Sachs. How can you put the COO of Goldman Sachs in there and then say that it's okay? How could you do that?
ExxonMobil?
No, of Goldman Sachs.
Guy?
I'm talking about the Goldman Sachs guy.
What position is he?
It's like national economic. Hold on, I'll find it for you. 1 second.
I couldn't tell you why he picked this person. I just trust him to make the decision based off of.
President-elect Donald Trump has chosen Gary Cohn, who was COO and president of Goldman Sachs, to lead the National Economic Council.
National. Oh, shit, it's not on this list. Can you link that to me? Just a Google search?
Sure. Or if you want to look at lists, we can go down lists too. But his entire picks have been full of lobbyists and people that have been part of the political process. People like Romney, putting somebody like Carson or whatever in charge of like, was it housing and shit? Housing and urban development,
yeah, housing
I think.
And urban development.
Yeah. When Carson himself said that he was unqualified for any government position, like, and picking him anyway.
He was probably humbling himself. Honestly,
why would you humble yourself by saying I'm not qualified for any government position? Please don't nominate me to anything. What do you mean humbling himself?
I could go into why I trust the man to make these decisions, but
sure, that's what I'm asking you. Tell me why, because he hasn't made any good decisions so far. So I'm asking why you trust him, because I don't see it.
He hasn't been in office,
but he still is making decisions and tweets before getting there.
I support his cabinet picks because I don't think you can fight an army without soldiers. I mean, you need these people.
Okay, that's fine. I agree with what you're saying. Cool. I agree with what you're saying. So then we agree then that he lied about draining the swamp. When he gets to Washington, he is putting Washington insiders into all of his cabinet positions.
When do you expect this promise to be filled by?
Well, I don't know. I thought it was going to be as soon as he started.
To be filled by January 20th. I think it's going to be a continual thing. Over his course, he is going to, well, one, this Senate bill is going to be a huge fucking dent in any swamp you're thinking of.
Assuming that it gets passed. We'll see if it gets passed. I'm not holding my breath on that one, okay?
Well, I don't know if it's going to get passed.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm sure Ted Cruz, I'm willing to bet, I could be wrong, but Ted Cruz probably suggests similar legislation throughout his entire life. Ron Paul does similar stuff. Like, it doesn't mean fuck all in terms of...
They never even proposed the bill. Now they're proposing the bill. The bill is proposed. It's in a committee right now.
Okay, well, we'll see if it gets anywhere. But
I expect that a lot of his moves, especially Mitch McConnell, which I'm not fond of, I think that he's going to do a very big job at taking lobbyists, and he has some on his own team.
Okay, let me.
If they're really going to be on his team, then who better to be than people that know this?
Let me pick a philosophically similar candidate to Trump. Okay, let's look at Bernie Sanders, who also marketed himself as being a Washington outsider, despite having 40 years of experience. Do you think that if Bernie Sanders was elected president, do you think that Bernie Sanders would be putting the ex-president of Goldman Sachs in any kind of economic position? Do you think that Bernie Sanders?
I can't tell you why Trump made that decision because I'm not him.
But you trust it and have blind faith in it? I thought you said you weren't religious.
I have faith in whatever decision faith, religion, not the same thing. I have faith in the man.
Why? From where? Where does your faith come from? What has he done? What has Trump done to show you that he will be a skilled politician?
He seems to know the right men for the job.
So Ben Carson, who wasn't capable of being the head of the what was it, the surgeon attorney or the head of the Health and Human Services? I don't know. Ben Carson, who couldn't take this medical position in government, is made into the housing and urban development leader? Like, what, tell me what you've seen from Trump. I'm asking you for specific things. What have you seen from Trump that makes you think that he's capable of picking the right people? Because I follow him very closely and I haven't seen anything.
That's his entire job, isn't it? For the last how many years he's been alive, that's what he's been doing for like 40 years at least.
Okay, but we're talking politics now. We're talking politics now.
Dude, what's The Apprentice all about? Picking people for the right job. I mean, that alone is why I trust him to make the right decision. Why is he the person to be the arbiter of who should have what job? I can't decide for these people. They haven't done their job yet. And if they do a shitty job, I'm not going to be blind to it. I'll say, wow, they're doing a fucking shitty job. What the fuck, Trump? But they haven't started yet. So
so your political citations for Trump are The Apprentice and his business. Is that?
No. Well, I mean, his business is going obviously went very well. So I would say that, yeah, I think it's a pretty good resume to look at.
Okay, so aside from the fact that Trump is a successful businessman, can you give me any other parts of his platform that you agree with or enjoy or like? Or...
His platform? Almost all of trade. Almost all of economy.
Okay, almost all of trade. What specifically?
Hang on. Let's start with, he's... All right, how about I don't go into that? That's already kind of controversial. He's already bringing jobs.
He's not. Where?
What was that? The big Ford plant that said that they were going to move back to
the
America?
The carrier plant. You know that he lied about how many jobs he brought back, right? That was really bad.
It wasn't 1,200. It was like 900.
It was less than that. And he attacked the union leader who criticized him for lying about the amount of jobs that he brought back. And the only way he was able to bring those jobs back was to get down on his knees and literally suck Carrier off with promised tax benefits and preferential treatment in order to get them to keep the smaller number of jobs that he promised. I am telling you. You can go. You can go read it if you want. But
I'll go read it.
Okay, that was a really bad move for Trump, in my opinion. Most Trumpers probably won't care, but so What else?
Well, maybe it was. I don't know. Will that whole thing on placing tariffs on other countries so that the jobs move back to America? I fucking love that.
Okay, in
I think that we're
places like
getting
China
fucking
and
free
Mexico,
trade.
in places like China and Mexico, where they're already losing jobs to automation, when they already pay slavery tier wages, how do you think those jobs are going to come back to the United States and not be lost to automation as well? You realize that even if we were able to bring these jobs back, they would all just go to robots, right? These aren't going to be jobs for people.
Yeah, like what jobs?
Like anything in manufacturing.
Anything in manufacturing. So, what about the people that were laid off at the time that the plants were moving? Why weren't they already getting transported into robot jobs?
Because other countries still had labor that was cheaper than the cost to automate. But even in these
No, I'm
countries,
talking about jobs in the United States.
what do you mean?
When they were laid off,
Yeah.
they weren't. Their robots weren't laid off. They were people.
Yes.
So
But
whatever
that's-
automation.
Yes, but
you
this
think
was
if there's
back
some
before
new way gonna
this was
become-
back before hardcore automation existed, and then it moved to other countries where the labor was cheap as fuck. But now even in those countries where the labor is cheap as fuck, they're losing jobs to automation. So how, if Chinese laborers can't compete with robots, how are American laborers going to compete with robots? Here, hold on. Here, go to Google and type in China automation jobs, and then search, and you can find article after article after article about China losing. Or look what I came up with. So the first thing is, don't blame China for taking U.S. jobs. The second one is China's robot revolution. The third one is robots are taking more factory jobs from Mexico, or taking more factory jobs than Mexico or China. Right? This is the New York Post. This is Fortune.com. I mean, like we can read.
Who's making the robots?
I don't know. Why?
Workers.
Okay, but do you think that just as many jobs are created in automating things as what were created manually creating them before? If that was the case, then why would people automate anything?
I don't know, but that's its own that is its own regulation on itself. That maybe there should be limits on automation.
Okay,
But
so let's
what do
say
you
that we
think
okay,
serves
but
better?
no. Let's follow this train of thought. So we're going to bring jobs back from overseas, okay, and then we're going to ban automation, okay. Once we've
I
made
did not
these,
say ban automation.
you
I don't
said
know if
put
that's a good idea.
regulation on automation. What did you mean?
Yeah, regulation doesn't mean ban, my friend.
Okay, so what do you mean by regulation?
Don't know. I'm not a congressman. Maybe it should be limited.
Limited, so banning it,
Either
and some
way,
selectively banning it.
What's better, having these jobs totally in other countries, or having this automation make the jobs inside of the United States and then export these goods to other countries instead of us buying from other countries?
If we're already
I mean, which is
tariffing other
better,
countries
right?
that are making them for cheaper in those countries, how are we going to export these goods to other countries if they can make them cheaper than us?
Because who do you think's buying them? Who do you think's buying all these products?
America is.
America is. So if we put a tariff, then obviously they're going to have to move the jobs back here because what they're selling to us after the tariff won't make them any money, and we're their biggest customers.
Okay.
They're going to move right back here.
What are you going to do to
But
all
there
of
is
the
no
lower
tariffs.
class people in the United States that are going to have to pay 2 or 3 times as much for goods that used to be a lot cheaper because now we've made the manufacturing more expensive in the United States?
How is it more expensive in the United States? Because workers are making them, or automatrons or whatever.
Why do you think people move their manufacturing?
Because it's cheaper.
Okay, so if
It's
we bring
cheaper
it
to
back to
make
the
it.
United States, it will be more.
Expensive.
Okay,
I don't
so if the
agree.
product is more expensive to make, that means it will be more what for the end
It's not more
consumer?
expensive to make. It's just less cheap. And I don't say that just to make a little beat around the bush. I think that if you make a product, like they could already make it in America. They were just making more money if they sold it in China. They're not going to get shit if they raise the prices. If they raise the prices, then they're not going to get anything at all, and no one's going to be buying from them. So they're not going to adjust their prices up. They're going to keep them relatively the same.
So what are they going to
Obviously.
do when their margins are negative and they're actually losing money in manufacturing because they're not allowed to raise prices because they've lost all of their margins?
They're
to
not
having to
losing money on They're not.
You know
They
that
were-
for a fact, that companies are existing in such massive margins that they could manufacture everything in the United States of America and not change prices whatsoever and still be profitable? You really
Where do you
believe
think
that?
these countries originated in? They didn't originate in China. They originated in America. They were working fine until they found a cheaper alternative. It's a cheaper alternative. I
Okay,
don't think
let's
they
set up a
have to
little.
live in China.
Let's set up a little meme. Okay, you've got a factory that produces a product that sells for $10. Okay, then what they do is they hire labor. Okay, that costs, and all of the costs of production are $9. So their margin is $1. They find out that if they move to China, okay, they can cut that labor cost into $2. Okay, now they have a $10 product for $2 of labor. If every other competitor on the market is selling for $10, they're going to lower their price to $5 or $8, whatever, right, to undercut them, right? So now they're paying $2 in labor, $5 product. They have a $3 margin. Well, what's going to happen? Everybody else in the United States, in order to remain competitive, is going to have to export their manufacturing overseas, right? They export their manufacturing overseas. You compete on price again, assuming that our economy is working at all. I think our market, for the most part, works, right? People are going to eventually lower down their prices to that $3 or $4 area where they have a margin, but they're still competitive with other companies, right? Do you agree with all this so far?
A little hard to follow, but all
Okay,
right.
which part is hard to follow? And I can break down more.
Maybe the speed.
Okay.
But
I'm sorry. Hold on. No, hold on. I'll start over.
prices.
I'm sorry. Okay. So in the United States, you have a product that sells for $10. Okay. And let's say that all the costs of production make it so that the company has to pay $8 to manufacture this product. So they're making a $2 profit. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So what they find out is that they can manufacture this product that they sell for $10 over in China for $2. Okay. So they move their
so making an $8
manufacturing.
profit.
What? Yeah. So they move their manufacturing to China. Now, if they're making that product for $2 and selling it for 10, and all of their competitors are selling it for 10, right? Why wouldn't they cut their prices in order to be more competitive? So that they
I'm
can
sorry, who would be cutting their prices?
the
again?
people that are manufacturing the product for $2, okay, because they move their manufacturing to China and are selling it in the United States for $10, wouldn't they cut their prices lower to undercut their competition?
Of course.
Okay, so now they lower their prices to $5. If you're in the United States and you're manufacturing a product at $10, okay, and it cost you $8 to make it, you can't drop your price to $5. You would go out of business. So you move your manufacturing overseas now. So now, right, this is how manufacturing moves to remain competitive. So now all of these people are manufacturing a product for $2, okay, and they're selling it for $5, right? Okay, now if you bring the company back to the United States where it costs $8 to manufacture that product, how are you going to tell them that they have to still sell it for $5? Where are they going to get that extra money from when they're losing money?
Were they not selling it for 10 before?
So so that would be the solution. You would have to raise prices back up to where they were before. So then my original question to you is, how do all of the poor people in America that rely on places like Walmart afford these products that are going to go back to costing 2 or 3 times as much?
And that's a two-part answer. One, were they affording it before they left? Or were they just not receiving anything?
They probably weren't affording it before they left, but standards of living have rose in the United States, even for the lower class people, dramatically over the past 20 or 30 years. Even
You're not a Democrat, right? So I can't say why do you think the cost of living has gone up?
Wait, what? Don't worry about what I am. I'm an independent. But
Okay.
what?
Well, I can tell you why the cost of living has gone
No,
up.
no,
and
no,
it's
no, no.
because
I'm not
of
talking about
policies
cost
like
of
that.
living. I'm talking about standard of living. I'm saying that even poor people today can have fucking iPhones and big TVs and fucking internet connections and computers in their homes. Even poor people, lower class people have access to these things. And a lot of this has been made possible because we get products so cheaply from overseas. There are also other industries in the United States that can thrive because people have the extra money to allocate towards these things because they're not spending such a high percentage of their income on these basic necessities that would cost more if we brought our manufacturing back here and made people pay more for these things. Right.
Yeah.
So how is bringing our manufacturing back and increasing all of those costs of goods good for the American economy?
Because who's making the money now? Who's exporting the goods?
I mean, China's exporting goods.
I mean, now that the companies are back home.
The companies aren't back home right now.
In your scenario,
If the
they
companies come back home, I guess the companies are making the money, but all of those people in the lower class are going to have to pay a much greater percentage of their income on these products that they get from Walmart.
All right. But if we stop making them dependent on these costs that are very low and money starts
So
circulating
you want to
again,
reduce the standard of living between lower class people. Stop making
what
them
do you mean reduce? What
when
do
you
mean
say
reduce the
stop
standard of
making
living?
them dependent on these low prices, you're saying that you need to get them comfortable with having less. You're saying reduce the standard of living. No?
I'm not sure I'm saying that so much as I mean, and this is gonna sound not as it is, but to learn not to be total dog shit poor, to get jobs going in America again, and then they can afford more with better jobs.
So we're going to get tens of millions of manufacturing jobs in America. That's how many we're bringing back. Tens of millions of manufacturing. Every single poor person is going to have a job working in a plant.
I wouldn't act. Well, I'm not going to say the second thing, but tens of millions, yeah. Considering that the unemployment rate right now is at a hidden like 25.
The
or
unemployment
20.
right now is the lowest it's been at in quite a while.
Yeah, because that's not they count unemployment in a really Jewish way. I think
They count unemployment the exact same way that they always have counted unemployment.
Do you know how they count? All right, well then
I know
fine.
better than
do you know
how they count the unemployment. Yes, I know
Do you know that
exactly how they
stopped
count
counting
unemployment.
you as unemployed?
Did you know that figure where they stopped counting the people's unemployment or they stopped seeing unemployment is called the U3 unemployment number, and the one that you're talking about is the U6 unemployment number? But did you know that nobody reasonable talks about the U6 unemployment number because it's tracked the U3 unemployment throughout all of its history? In fact, right now, if we go, we can Google
slow down,
U3.
slow down.
Okay, U3 versus U6 unemployment. Here you go. The number that you want to talk about is always the meme number that everybody brings up. The U6 unemployment is always higher than the U3 because of how the metrics are accounted for. But if you go back over history, notice that U6 tracks the U3 pretty much exactly as it always has been throughout all of United States labor history. So talking about the U6 when it's politically expedient for you doesn't really solidify any argument, right?
What's your point? I don't really see your
You're
point.
saying that the real unemployment is way higher than it's reported as, but the U6 is always going to be higher than the U3. It doesn't mean anything. And the number that economists typically talk about is the U3 unemployment number, wanting that to be less than 5.5%. That there is no desire to bring the U6 down to that. I don't even know if that's possible, and it's never happened in the United States labor history.
Wouldn't it be good if it was though, and it was lower?
I don't know.
I mean, look. You can. Is it just me, or did I mean? I'm looking at the graph you just sent me, and sometime around 2008, the unemployment fucking skyrocketed.
Yeah.
In all of them, including U6.
Yep.
And before it was at a reasonable margin, but now it's like out of control. Also, you can see that the margin between the U3 and the U6 is fucking huge. And there's way more U6 unemployed than that says U5. Are you talking about U3? I don't know any of these fucking U numbers, but either way, it still seems that there's a lot more U6 than the ratio used to be.
What years are we talking about? What years do you want to compare?
Specifically, the skyrocket in 2008, 2009. I'm talking about how those margins used to be much closer and controllable. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't really alive during then. I know that right now it's a lot fucking worse.
Okay, so I'm going to pick
that's why.
February 2010, okay?
February 2010?
Oh, fuck, hold on, wait, I missed my mouse. My bad. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm not moving my mouse. I'm on October of 2009, okay? So the U6 is 17.10, and the official is 10. Okay?
All right.
So that's...
You want to just round it off to a 17? Because that's what I'm looking
No. So I'm just going to do 10 divided by 17.10, okay? And I'm going to get 58%, okay? So right now, the official unemployment, which is the U3 number, is 58% of the U6 number, okay? That's at like the largest gap, okay? Let's try to find a smaller gap. I'm going to go to June of 2003, okay? So what were we at before? 58%, okay? So I'm going to do 6.3 divided by 10.3.
Take another one.
And this is 61%. It's pretty close. Find me another one.
You want to do August of 2001?
Okay. August of 2001 is 4.9 divided by 8.1 is 60%. Still pretty close.
Okay. All these numbers are... You're saying that the ratios has stayed the same?
Pretty much, yes.
All right. And what's that mean? That
the U6 hasn't spiked out of control, despite some people claiming it has. That's not true. That the U6 has pretty much always tracked the U3. There is no massive spike in hidden unemployment that we've never accounted for in all of United States labor market history or something.
I'm gonna go to the past 30 years. This is it. All right, now, like I said, or maybe I didn't say this. I think my friend wanted me to say this. That I am open to new shit, and this is pretty interesting. I haven't seen this kind of data before. How come none of you fuckers bring it up, and it's only Smart Destiny, man? That's not working. Do you have a link that shows the last 30 years?
Yeah, this is it is showing the last 30 years.
Oh shit. All years is what I want to click on them. That's not working either. Do you have all years?
It should be working.
No, for some reason it's not.
It goes back to like 1994, right?
That's as far as back as it goes.
Yeah, hold on one second. I mean, you can look up, if you Google like U3 versus U6 unemployment, if you Google that, you can find graphs or whatever. And go to images or whatever, and you can find graphs.
Wait, what did you say that it was at an all-time low since what? That the official unemployment rate?
Yeah, that our official unemployment rate is fairly low right now, considering where it was before. I think right now it's hovering at around ideal numbers. I think ideally economists want to see about 5 to 5.5% unemployment because there's something called frictional unemployment and other factors as well.
That's a little fucking cool. All right.
Okay, so with all of this, do you still think that bringing back manufacturing to the United States, this is really hard. Have you taken a class in economics yet?
I plan to.
Okay.
You want to teach me, Destiny?
Does it sound like bringing back jobs to the United States and forcing companies to produce products more expensively by banning them from using robots is a good idea?
I think all right. Now this is gonna sound like a little bit of a cop out, and very well maybe. I feel like there is a solution that I'm just not smart enough to really bring up. That there is somewhere in here on how there would be economic growth on bringing jobs back, because like I haven't taken a class, so I really couldn't tell you. Is that too far off? Do you think that Trump's plan could work if
No,
given like
that's
right
the
nurturing?
problem. It can't. It's okay. So when you take an economics class, that kills me as an heresy. Okay, when you take an economics class, okay, you're going to learn about something called the market. Okay, the market is this wonderful thing. It's a collection of people and suppliers that come together and make all sorts of decisions about prices, prices of everything, prices of goods, prices of labor, all these wonderful things, right? Typically, when you're doing economic policy, usually what you want to do is you want to create economic policy that works with the market instead of works against the market. So here's an example of a policy that might be ineffective because it works against the market, okay? Something like, on paper, without getting too complicated, something like minimum wage is something that kind of works against the market. A manufacturer says, a supplier says that labor is worth $4 an hour, and you artificially boost that price up to $8 an hour. This is something that works against the market, okay? Things that would work with the market are certain types of tax breaks that would incentivize certain behaviors. So let's say that you want more green energy, right? So in order to have more green energy, you do something where like you get when you buy an electric car, you get a big tax credit for it, right? This is economic policy that works with the market. You're creating economic incentive for people to move to greener energy, right? In the form of a tax credit. These are economic policies that work in favor of the market. The more heavily against the market your economic policy goes, the more likelihood that it will be a massive fuck up. And the more with the market your policy goes, the higher the chance that it'll be a realistic solution to a problem, whether that problem is systemic or temporary, whatever, right? So when you talk about bringing jobs back from China, you are talking about going against the market in so many different ways. One, you're talking about putting massive tariffs, which is artificially boosting the cost of goods, right, to people that are going to be buying them. You're talking about bringing jobs back and forcing people to pay higher labor costs, right? So you're artificially increasing the cost of labor. You're impacting other businesses. Let's say, for instance, let's say that you work at a comic book store, okay? And let's say that you're able to open up in a neighborhood that's kind of doing okay-ish because the people have the money to buy your products. Well, if all the manufacturing gets brought back and they've got to spend more money on things like food and clothing, guess what? All of those businesses that were making money on the extra purchasing power that those people had are now going out of business because now they're spending a higher percentage of their income keeping manufacturing here, right? When you start to do things that go against the market, you have all of these horrible ripple effects that happen because your policy is not rooted in reality. You're not respecting market forces when you make that policy, right? That's the reason why I'm critical of Trump's policy, because you're talking about doing something that is so insanely anti-market that it doesn't seem to be rooted in any kind of reality. It doesn't seem like there's a good outcome for this kind of stuff, right?
All right. Well, now, I agree with you. I agree with you until my opinion is changed, because it's the most real opinion I've got. I've never taken an economics class. So I have two questions. Namely, one. Wait, what was it? It was one. How come I've never heard it before? Not because I haven't stuck it out, but no one has really made this big case about his economics plan. Two, I guess, would Bernie Sanders be, would he have a better plan than Trump's?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not really concerned with Bernie Sanders' plan because I didn't look into his platform ultra in depth, because once the nomination process ended, there was no point in doing so. I would have examined his shit a little bit more closely come general election time, but I couldn't tell you exactly how much more in depth Bernie wanted to go. The reason why people don't talk about this in general is because people are stupid and they're swayed by misinformation far too easily, and because a lot of people are willing to play into those narratives. That sounds really negative, but Trump, I'll bet you, I don't know if you can get money from your parents. Like, I'll put you fucking $500 or whatever, or not even deposit. We could do like $20, right? If you want to pay into an escrow, right? Let me cover myself, right? There is no possible way that Trump is bringing back manufacturing jobs in any capacity from these countries. And every single intelligent person in the United States knows that as absolute fact. Even intelligent people on the right will tell you, as a case of fact, that those jobs are never, ever, ever coming back. But if you campaign on bringing them back, it sounds really fucking good. And campaigning on bringing them back sounded really good, and it won Trump the entire Rust Belt, right? It was a huge part of his campaign. Even though he went out and he completely told bold-faced lies about all of it, because those jobs are never coming back, he won a lot of states, maybe the whole election on those promises.
You think Trump knew this?
I don't know what Trump knows, because everything he says comes off to me as sounding stupid and naive. I really have no idea. I think that Trump is an idiot, at least in all things dealing with politics. It seems to be. And I mean, I can back that claim up.
Would you think that he would know more about economy than to make a mistake like this?
I really don't know. I can't tell. I
get
can't
where
tell.
he is?
I don't know. I can't tell. It's impossible for me to say, because everything he says sounds so stupid, and because he walks back on everything he says like a week later anyway.
Well, I want to know about that.
Well, which thing do you want to talk about? He walked back on the Drain the Swamp thing. He did it within the span of 1 minute on 60 Minutes. He walked back on the killing terrorist families. He walked back on the torturing people. He walked back on that during the primaries. He walked back on the giant wall everywhere. He said, well, maybe in some places we can have a fence. He walked back on Hillary for prison. I'm sure there are more examples. He walked back. He tweeted criticizing Obama in 2014 about how Obama never goes to listen to intelligence briefings, and then just recently said that he was too smart to have to go to intelligence briefings himself. He walked back on defunding the ACA completely. I'm not even sure if it'll happen now, because Trump is saying that they're a part. The ACA is what people call Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. He walked back. It seems like he walked back completely on defunding Obamacare.
Whoa! Where'd you hear that?
Trump says that there are parts of Obamacare that he really likes. I think he likes the pre-existing conditions. So how is he? I don't know how he's going to repeal parts of Obamacare.
That's not the problem with Obamacare. In fact, Republicans were thinking about keeping that the second Obamacare was proposed. They were with that since day one. They were never against that. Ever.
I mean, they say that they're not, but you can't get rid of the mandate and tell people to cover everybody. Like, how are you going to do that? People like me are going to stop buying insurance, and it's going to be even more expensive for people with pre-existing conditions. Like, that the mandate is a really important part of it.
Well, I mean, I don't mandate. I'm not a big insurance guy. I know this right now.
Mandate means that every single person is required to purchase it. One of the big parts of the Affordable Care Act was bringing in people like me into buying health insurance. So before the ACA,
people like you,
healthy people that don't really need medical insurance. I've never had it before the ACA came in, and I only have it now because there's a tax penalty.
Do you think Obamacare is a good thing? Do you think it's worked?
Because it's kind of debatable
right now.
What?
I mean, my mom has like problems with her fucking leg, and we can't afford Obamacare because it's like it tripled the cost of health insurance.
Chances are she wouldn't have been able to afford shit beforehand anyway.
She did. We did. We were on Blue Cross, but she cannot afford. I
don't like going anecdotally, because everybody will pull out these extreme crazy examples. Like, your mom might be an idiot when it comes to signing up for insurance. Like, I don't know. Premiums have gone up, but people with pre-existing conditions before just had zero coverage at all. So if you go to ask somebody, like, do you felt like Total Biscuit or whatever?
Maybe like when I was 7.
Oh, Holy shit. So, I mean, if you go to talk to people with pre-existing conditions that are now covered, that have the ability to move from job to job because they're not locked into their employer health insurance, these are people that would tell you that Obamacare was a success, right? I mean, the prices are definitely going up, and they're going up even faster than they were before, right? But my premiums are going up from 170 to like 240 a month, right? That's a huge increase. But I mean, there's like coverage. I think like 2/3 of Americans qualify for some kind of rebate, so they don't have to pay full price. And it also got rid of a lot of the bullshit insurance that existed before. A lot of people thought they were covered for a lot more than they actually were before the ACA passed through. So it brought a lot of insurance companies in line with actually offering real insurance and not bulking. I mean, I think that the ACA has problems. Healthcare in the United States has problems. The ACA didn't do anything to address costs. I'm just saying that there are parts of the ACA that are probably good. And Trump was talking about getting rid of all of it, and it seems like now he's in favor of most of it. So,
most of it, not even close. The idea that people in the middle class and the upper class should be paying for people in the lower class is not something he wants to keep.
Yeah, he does. Because that's something that any realistic human being wants to keep. That's how the government works, dog. How are people in the lower class?
Why should we? All right. So I expect you to actually have a real answer. Obviously, you seem to have a real answer on all this shit. My question is, why should middle class Americans that have worked for what they have to pay way more than people that don't work for shit, or maybe in your case you say that they can't, and why should we have to pay for them? And,
Two reasons.
Pay their share.
Two reasons, okay? Well, the first is the ethical reason, okay? Because these are your fellow countrymen, and because these are your fellow human beings that might be a little bit worse off than you, okay? I'm not going to go and buy SLI 1080 Ti's for my computer.
Make a mandate
while
so
some
I have
dude
to pay for them?
Hold on, well, listen to me, okay? I'm not going to buy 1080 Ti SLI for my computer. I'm not going to spend $3,000 on graphics card while some dude is literally starving to death in the fucking street and can't pay for food, okay? I feel like there's a moral or ethical problem there. I don't mind chipping in a little bit more to the tax system to make sure that some of these people are taken care of. So that's the ethical moral argument. If you don't buy into that because you're a sociopath or whatever, then you have the practical argument. Practically, countries work better when all of their classes are doing well. I don't want to be the king on an empire of dirt. If I wanted to, I could go move to some place like fucking Romania and be in the top 1% with the amount of money that I make. Why the fuck would I want to be in the top 1% in fucking Romania? I want to be in the United States of America. And the United States of America works best when everybody works best, when everybody is doing okay, when people aren't homeless, right? How many times homeless is a problem that everybody has to deal with. If you go to places, fucking some stores have like spikes outside their shit now, so homeless people don't fucking sleep there, right? Or if you go to a park and there's homeless people around, like these are things that impact everybody. If you've got people that are poor and stupid and uneducated and having a fuck ton of kids, these are kids that wind up on welfare. These are systems where you have
to. Do you think the lower class, or I'm sorry, do you think the middle class is doing very well right now due to Obamacare, for one?
I don't think that Obamacare is the only thing impacting the middle class, but to be honest, I really don't give much of a fuck about the middle class. I'm more concerned about the lower class. I guess maybe that's just me, but I mean,
wait, can I ask? Is that too private to ask what class you're in?
I am probably upper middle, or maybe upper. I don't know.
Did you say that you knew a lot about unemployment rates because you're like a streamer? Well, I'm curious about that.
No, I know a lot about the unemployment rates because I've looked at the numbers. Or, I mean, what do you mean?
Because I don't know. That was another thing. Because I was like, I don't know if you know about the unemployment rates, and you were like, oh boy, I fucking do.
Well, no, because people commonly cite the U6 as a way to get you when you talk about unemployment, but that's because they're not aware of the difference between the U6 and the U3.
All right. Well, okay. On what you're talking about, you said that it's good for a country to have all of its classes working well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and a big part, I'm telling you, it's a big part due to Obamacare. Maybe not the whole part. Big part was that middle class families can't afford their healthcare premiums at all. It was, I don't think you think that all Trump supporters are racist. I think you're smarter than that. But I think they're more afraid of fucking black people than they're more afraid of their insurance premiums than black people. I would say.
Okay. While this might be true, there might be some people that are getting fucked by the ACA today. I'm not going to deny that, okay? I'm not going to deny that.
One of them, but yeah.
However, there were a ton of people being fucked by our healthcare before. Everybody with pre-existing conditions was fucked completely, all right?
And Trump wants to keep that, and that's a good thing. I don't know why you're against him on that. I mean,
I'm not against him on that. He was against him on that. Trump said that he wanted to repeal Obamacare completely. Now he's saying that he wants to keep pre-existing conditions. So
yeah, good for him, right?
If you're going to keep pre-existing conditions, these are some of your most expensive customers. How are you going to afford that if you don't force everybody to buy into your insurance?
If you don't force so you have, and that's the second thing. I mean, you were talking about like the freedom of America and all that in the beginning.
Sure.
Do you think it's you should be forced to pay for people that, I mean, you could say that, yeah, they're fucking homeless on the street. I don't think that they just fucking like appeared. Maybe some of them just appear like that, and that's fucking shitty. I wish them the best of luck, but I think there's a ton more that are just either lazy or on welfare, and I think that's kind of what Obamacare is made to do almost.
Are your parents gonna pay for college for you?
Hazy subject. Pretty sure I have a fucking college fund. That
Okay. Do you think that your chance of fucking up in life when you're literally going to be floating through college on mommy daddy welfare is going to be the same chance as somebody fucking up in life that lives in a single parent household in the ghetto, like in the projects? Like, do you think that these are comparable scenarios? Okay, I love you. Okay, I love you in the best way that a 28-year-old man can love a 15-year-old boy. Okay, however, when somebody tells me that they have a college fund that's going to carry them through college, and you're ready to make these declarative statements about the worth and value of a human that is homeless, that's an incredible statement. First of all, people with mental disabilities are very disproportionately represented in homeless populations, okay? So
do you think Obamacare is made to help?
I'm not talking about Obamacare. I'm just saying that your statement, your judgment that a lot of the people, or most of the people that are homeless are there because they fucked up. Nobody chooses to be homeless. Nobody wants to be homeless, right? It happens because people make bad choices, but oftentimes this is a result of shit education or just shit entire fucking environment. A bad fucking environment that they grew up in with shitty fucking friends, shitty fucking culture, shitty peers, shitty parents or parent, right? That all contribute to this person being a massive fuck up. But this idea that like people just choose to be homeless because they're fucking retarded or whatever, I think is a little bit incredulous. Like, but
well, I mean, that is all right. I'm not saying, oh yeah, fuck homeless people, but I mean, isn't that what you said? Lack of education. I mean,
yeah, but education comes down to money, which comes down to class, which oftentimes comes down to were you lucky enough to be born to a family that's middle class?
They can go to public schools.
Public schools suck shit, dog. If depending on where you live, I had to move in my city to go to a place so that my kid could be in a better school. Not everybody has that opportunity.
Well, I couldn't tell you because I'm pretty sure I live in New Jersey, and that's like the best place. I think the best state in the entire country for education, as I've heard. It might not be true.
You don't think in your city you don't have any bad?
You
don't have any bad public schools in New Jersey at all. None of them are bad.
Are you kidding me? I'm living in one, but I think I made a pretty good fucking job of it. I mean, I think if the opportunity is there, you can definitely take it in a public school, especially. I don't think that there's anything keeping you down in a public school, just except how much you want to try. I mean,
okay, but even how much you want to try,
people that don't do anything.
Even how much you want to try can be influenced by how much your parents are pushing you to do things, right? Like it sounds like you have a mom and dad household, which is already a huge advantage. You're already far ahead of like people that are born to single parent households. Like your parents are obviously invested in your education. There's no fucking way that they're going to start a college fund for you and then not give a fuck if you succeed in school or not, right? So you have a lot behind you. You've got a lot working in your favor to make sure that you.
I mean, it's not my fault that they're in single payer households, and I wish them the best of
Listen,
luck.
it's not about assigning. It's not about assigning blame. It's not about assigning blame. It's about doing what you can to help your fellow countrymen. Because when your entire country does well, it looks better for everybody. Would you rather be
the middle class having to pay for this healthcare has totally fucked us?
I don't think that that's the only thing fucking the middle class, firstly. Secondly, I'm pretty sure...
Yeah, but that doesn't help your case either. Either way, we're still getting totally fucked to pay for a growing number of lower class men. I mean, and this is...
Okay, so then maybe you have to go from 3 cars to 2 cars. Or maybe you have to go from the Hummer to the Toyota.
I mean, dude,
or
it's not like we're fucking rich as shit. I mean, we're making it... I mean, we have a lot... and we're making a lot, but when it's this big of a scale, no, we're making just as much as we can to get by.
Okay,
if you have
it's not
like we have surplus money.
If you have a college fund, your family is doing all right. Compared to what it feels like to be truly fucked, you guys are amazingly ahead of the ball, all right? This is one of the things that irritates me so... I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take this up personally on you, okay? Before I started streaming, I was in a very, 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 very bad financial spot in my life, okay? I was super, super, super fucked. It's very irritating sometimes when people that are solidly middle class will talk about the struggles of being middle class when, for all intents and purposes, like, oh no, like we have to downsize from our 5-bedroom house to a 3-bedroom house, or instead of having 3 cars, we have 2, or instead of buying our child a brand new car, we had to buy him like a $5,000 used used car from the lot. Like, these are great problems to have. Now, I'm not saying that we should seek to fuck the middle class or destroy the middle class or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, have a little bit of perspective. If you're saying that, like, the middle class has to suffer a little bit so that everybody in the United States can have health care, I think that that's like an okay sacrifice.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that for a middle class to exist, they have to have those problems, as what defines a middle class. As what defines a middle class is to have these problems. Upper class being, oh shit, I can only have 18 Lamborghinis. No, all right. I mean, we only have 2 cars. I mean, I'm not saying that that's oh fuck us, but I mean that's what a middle class is. It's people that make a pretty decent amount of money that aren't poor. So yeah, we're gonna have these problems.
Do you at least
still gonna be fucked?
Do you at least understand what I'm saying when I say that it's better to have a country where everybody is working well rather than to fuck over some classes?
Obamacare definitely didn't do that.
Okay, but health. Do you know that medical bankruptcy was the number one reason why people filed bankruptcy even before the ACA came about? It's like 64% of bankruptcies were filed because of medical reasons. You know that a lot of people in the United States can't afford health coverage. You know that a lot of people are tied into jobs that they don't want to be in because if they leave, they would have lost their health coverage before the ACA. These are problems that third world countries face. We are the only country in the Western world, the only one that has these problems. Everybody else in fucking Europe has this figured out. People in fucking Canada have this shit figured out. The United States' healthcare system is abysmal. I'm not saying that the ACA fixed everything, but I'm saying it's a step in the right direction to fixing things. Right? We can't go back to what we had before, because what we had before was a disaster. It was an embarrassment. It was something that anybody from any other country could point their finger at you and laugh at for being fucking atrocious. There is nothing to be proud of about the American medical system for the average person.
Well, I couldn't say. I mean, I'll take your word on it, but
and before, like, 60% of the people, someone in chat brings this up, that's true too. A lot of the people that filed medical bankruptcy, of those people, a very high percentage of them had insurance. And it didn't actually cover enough. This is what I was talking about when I said that the ACA brought insurance companies in line with actually providing realistic coverage. There were a lot of people that filed medical bankruptcy before that had insurance coverage when they had to file medical bankruptcy.
What's that mean?
That means that somebody went and they bought medical insurance in case something went really wrong and they got fucked. Then they got diagnosed with cancer and their medical bills piled up so much and their insurance was so fucking worthless that they still had to file bankruptcy even though they had insurance. That's how fucked the insurance was before the ACA.
I mean, I've heard stories of they're like, what? I mean, this is one of the reasons why like Obamacare didn't work, was that all these big ass fucking insurance companies barely could accept Obamacare patients because I think the number of medical codes like fucking it would multiply by 8, and they had to hire more accountants.
Yeah, they had to do a lot of work. But now what I'm asking you is, if you get rid of the individual mandate,
no, it was undoable. I mean, they couldn't do it.
Sure.
I mean, they had to either file for bankruptcy, chip out. They couldn't take it.
So what I'm asking you is, if you get rid of the individual mandate, which means people like me will stop buying insurance, how are you going to cover people with pre-existing conditions? Where are you going to get that money from?
Well, I mean, it's definitely not from the insurance companies filing bankruptcy because they can't keep up with what we have right now.
So where is the money coming from? Because Trump said that he likes pre-existing conditions. So if you get rid of the individual mandate, where does the money come from?
I would assume that there's an answer. I just don't know it. I don't know.
The answer is
nowhere.
Probably that the ACA isn't going to be gutted. Probably not. Maybe, but probably not. I'm not sure, or at least not under Trump. Maybe Congress will push really hard for it. I don't know if they'd need a supermajority if Trump would threaten to veto or not. I'm not actually sure, but there is no realistic solution. So when Trump talks about wanting to get rid of Obamacare, he was pretty much lying when he campaigned on that, because he says he likes individual he likes pre-existing conditions, and you probably need the individual mandate to maintain that.
Well, I mean, Obamacare it already failed. It's going.
What do you mean it already failed? It didn't fail if you have pre-existing conditions. It didn't fail if you were somebody like me that didn't have insurance before and now you're buying it. What do you mean it already failed?
I mean, what? I mean, isn't this like what's all over the news right now, that they're arguing that Obamacare was made to fail almost?
That's only people on Breitbart and shit saying that. That's not true.
Breitbart. That was on like CNN, ironically.
I don't know. CNN said that Obamacare was made to fail, because that sounds like a Breitbart headline.
They had a guest on. Oh. It wasn't on some fucking article. It was on TV. I mean the premiums got so fucking bad. I mean, I've been off insurance for like years because it tripled. No one can afford it.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of people that can afford it because there's government assistance for like 2/3 of people on it.
It almost seems like that what it did was to afford the insurance, it just drained more people from the middle class to be poorer. So like, and now they afford this health care, and there's barely a middle class to even support it, to afford what they're holding up on the lower class.
Okay, so the problem are the big problem with the ACA that we can both agree on is that it didn't do much to control cost in the healthcare industry, right? We can agree with that, right?
If that's what I just outlined, then yeah.
So I think that moving in that direction would be good, but repealing the entire ACA isn't the solution, right? Because if you do that, everybody just goes back to being fucked again, right? Do you want to go?
Well, I mean, it's a big fucking mess right now. I mean, I don't know how fucked it is to totally get rid of the framework. I definitely know that what we have right now is fucked. And if we need to do a total overhaul to make it better, then we need to. If we don't, then we don't. I think that, I mean, it's I don't think it's like my job to have to like work this all out in my head before I cast a vote. I just think that he's the right man to do it.
Okay, but the fact that he said he wanted to defund the entire ACA, and now he's saying that there are parts of it that he likes, it kind of seems like he walked back on that a little bit, no?
Well, I mean, no. And I don't really know how else to say this, but I didn't like Hitler, but he breathed, and I breathed too. And that's a part of Obamacare. I hate Obamacare, but that doesn't mean I have to get rid of fucking every good principle about Obamacare. I'm sure there is some good fucking thing.
So what parts about the Obamacare do you hate?
I just talked to you about them.
That it's expensive?
I mean, all right. I don't think when you say homeless people or people in fucked up situations, yeah, all right, I get it. I'm not in their really fucked up situation. But at the same time, and these aren't always people that are homeless. Often I see people who are unemployed, who aren't looking for jobs, who could probably get themselves out of this situation. I mean, maybe a small percentage, which does amount for a good amount of people to make you think at night, are actually fucked. But I think a way bigger amount of people that are probably part of the reason of why Obamacare failed were created out of this mess that made it unaffordable. Because they fell down.
Healthcare was already like unaffordable in the United States beforehand for a lot of people. I feel like you don't realize how fucked up insurance.
Was it that fucked?
It's like a little bit more expensive now, but the main goal of the ACA was to get more people insured, which it did. It got millions more people covered. I mean, like prices are going up faster than they were before, but prices
millions more poor people?
Probably, sure. Or maybe middle class people like me that didn't have insurance at all before.
Now, I know this isn't on a moral ethic, but and so it's government aid that is taken out of people who are working to give to people who are not working and not doing anything but taking your money.
Why do you assume that all of them are not working?
I mean, I guess a high unemployment rate, but I guess you said it's been the lowest it's ever been. So
not the lowest it's ever been, but in like 10 years, since like 2006, 2007 or whatever. I mean, people are working.
I mean, I assume a lot of people on Obamacare are taking money off welfare, right?
No. To qualify for Obamacare, you could be within 3 times the poverty limit. So plenty of working people are. In fact, if you go get your
qualify for Obamacare, wait, what do you mean by qualify for Obamacare?
To qualify for the rebate.
The rebate being
when you go to pay for insurance, if you fall within certain income limits, you get some of that money back. You don't have to pay as much for the insurance because the government covers some of the bill for you, depending on how close you are to the poverty limit.
Yeah. And are you saying that a lot of low-income families are still in that limit after being like what would you say 3 times what?
You can be within like 3 times the poverty limit, and so you could be a working family and still qualify.
Get those rebates?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't have those exact statistics in front of me, and I don't pay for Obamacare.
Wait, hold on. Wait, you don't have what? Wait, you don't have what statistics?
Any statistics about Obamacare? I mean, I mean, this is just off of. Not really anecdotal. I mean, I'll take your word for it, because I think it's in good confidence that you know what you're talking about. Right.
Sure. You don't have to believe me. You shouldn't believe me. That's fine. Hold on 1 second.
Are you pulling them up?
Yeah, hold on. I'll just look up for a couple things. I don't think you should believe anything I say just because I say it.
What'd you say? I don't believe you.
Oh, just because I say something, you don't have to necessarily believe it. I mean, I can find...
I'm not going to trust you on that one.
Wait, what?
I'm just going to keep believing you.
Okay.
I don't trust what you just said. No, do
Okay,
provide a source.
subsidies are based on income. In most states, anyone making less than 400% of the federal poverty level can get some type of subsidy on marketplace plans. So
Some type
400%.
of?
Yeah, so can get some. So like the closer you are to the poverty level, the more of a rebate you would get than somebody making like almost right at the limit, right?
I mean, some type of doesn't mean like a full rebate. It might
No,
be
not a full
pretty
rebate.
shitty
No, yeah,
rebate.
of course it will be. If you have to pay 100 a month and you're at the poverty level, maybe you'll get 95 back. If you're like 3 times the poverty level, maybe you only get 10, 15, 20 back. So
Could
yeah,
you look up the difference between what's a good word describing people who are not insured? I guess
uninsured.
uninsured. Yeah, uninsured. There you go. Uninsured before Obamacare and after.
Ooh, are you sure?
Oh well, no.
Well, I mean, we can look it up, but I mean, that's a
counting
pretty.
a fuck ton of poor people are now covered.
Well, hold on. So
Middle class families, maybe. I mean, all right. I don't know much about an economy, so I can't start fighting on what I know exactly. But I'm assuming that a middle class is circulating the economy more than any other,
yeah, sure.
which is why.
So
you
it
might
looks
not
like the
wanna
numbers
fucking
that
hurt
I'm
it so
seeing,
bad.
the numbers that I'm seeing right now are it looks like around 16 million people were brought in as a net
From-
positive for after the ACA passed. That's 16 million additional people.
Can you look at what kind of Obamacare they're receiving, whether it's the rebate or if they're paying extra, being middle class?
I don't know if I can find that exact number. Not quickly.
I think that a dwindling middle class as more people are dropping down to a lower class. I mean, it's just creating a bigger fucking.
I'm not
class divide.
saying that that a dwindling middle class is a good thing. I don't agree with that. Okay, we need to do something to
I
address
think
healthcare.
that-
But
I mean,
the middle class was dwindling before the ACA ever passed, and healthcare played a role in that. Before the ACA ever
It got
passed,
worse.
a little bit, but not that much. The ACA isn't like destroying the middle class in Atlanta. Like if we got rid of the ACA, all of these problems would go back. If we got rid of the ACA, healthcare costs would still be rising. Just like not quite as bad as they did before, but about as bad as they did before. So healthcare costs would still be rising. The healthcare institutions of the United States would still be a fucking disaster. People like me would get off health insurance again. People with pre-existing conditions would be fucked. I mean, I don't think that rolling back the ACA is going to help the middle class much. It needs help for sure, but
All right. I mean, and trust me, although I don't think a part 2 is very needed because you're probably just going to come back with more facts. But I'm definitely going to look into everything you're saying.
sure.
And if I can't form a better opinion, well, I mean, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on what Trump's going to do.
What do you think about the personal attacks that Trump made to people? What about making fun of Ted Cruz's wife with depression? Or suggesting that Ted Cruz's dad was involved in the JFK assassination? Or tweeting out the fake link of the Miss Universe that wasn't actually a porn video of her, but claiming that it was a porn video of her? Or making fun of the that one retarded reporter with his hand? Or when he tweeted out that... what did he tweet out just recently? Making fun of the union guy that had been working as a union leader for 20 or 30 years for that carrier plant and saying that he was a loser and that's people like him are why those jobs were moving overseas or whatever. What do you think about like all the bullying that he does on Twitter? Is that just like a funny meme or...
It's weird, right? I think that Twitter could be a tool. I don't think he always uses it. I think sometimes you could just shut the fuck up. That would be nice. I don't know if he purposely fucking mocked a reporter. It kind of looked like it. I don't know. I don't think it really matters so much. I think, all right, maybe he's a fucking shitty dude when it comes to fucking Twitter, but that's not what. I mean, what would keep me up wouldn't be resorting to how is he on Twitter? Is he a cunt or not? It'd mainly be, well, is his policy going to put America in the dirt?
So you don't think it's a little bit embarrassing if your president is tweeting like these crazy, if he like the president, the
think it'd be more
strongest person
embarrassing if
in the
president-
world is tweeting about how he doesn't like an episode of Saturday Night Live? Like you don't think that kind of stuff is a little bit
I think it's more
disgraceful?
embarrassing if his actual policy is total shit.
Okay, but just because something is more embarrassing doesn't mean that nothing else can be embarrassing. It would be more embarrassing for you to go outside and pull your pants down and show your dick to everybody, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be embarrassing to ask somebody out and have them reject you, right? I mean, both can be embarrassing. Just because one is worse than the other doesn't mean the other's not at all. So I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you if the policy is worse than tweeting. I'm just saying that isn't it a little bit embarrassing that he acts like a fucking buffoon on Twitter? That doesn't bother you at all?
No, I don't think world leaders will care now.
You don't think world leaders will care? What about China's response to Trump completely shunning the whole Taiwan situation and the fact that that might lead to like some really fucking weird shit where Trump is playing fucking chicken with China? You don't think that like any of that is a little bit worrisome, that he's tweeting shit that he has no disregard or no
He
regard?
wasn't tweeting. That's not what happened. It wasn't. He didn't tweet anything to make China pissed. He accepted a call from Taiwan, right? Are we talking about the same thing?
Yes, Taiwan.
Yeah, he accepted a call from.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Why
You don't. You wait.
everyone's-
So you don't think that he tweeted anything in relation to that? You don't think that
No,
he tweeted?
Yeah, he did. He said that he accepted a call.
Yeah, and you didn't see what the
That's
big deal was, right?
the big deal was that he accepted the call, right?
Kind of,
missing
yeah.
something?
Well, that he was acknowledging Taiwan. There's a huge, like, confusing scenario that we have set up between China, Taiwan, and the United States, but it was the fact.
I
Okay.
into it.
So,
Well, no, I mean, I think some people are like confusing China to just be like an autistic kid with nukes, which is actually North Korea. I don't think that China is gonna go off the fucking rails because we accepted a call from Taiwan. No, I don't think it's going to cause any big deal. I think that China's gonna get over it, and it won't be a big problem. I mean, now on the other hand, if Trump says something worse, which he very well could, I hope he fucking doesn't. I don't think he will. I think he has the right temper to not do anything worse than.
what makes you think that he has the right temperament not to do something fucking retarded when he's constantly done fucking retarded shit and said fucking retarded shit?
I think he knows when he can call out things. I think he knows when he's untouchable. I like if he tweets at a union leader, okay, some people are gonna get pissed. No one cares. If he tweets about Miss Universe, okay, some people are gonna get pissed. No one fucking cares. I think he knows the consequences of tweeting too hard. Rather.
Okay, here's an article. In a show of strength, China has flown a nuclear-capable bomber beyond its borders in what U.S. officials say is a response to Trump's phone calls with the Taiwan president. The Zion, I don't know how to pronounce. Xi'an H-6 bomber flew along the disputed 9-dash line around the South China Sea on the 8th of December. This marks the second time Beijing has flown bombers in the disputed area since Trump was elected president, U.S. officials told Fox News. You don't think that anything that he says on Trump or on Twitter, and he tweeted more in regards to that he tweeted more in regards to that Taiwan thing. Fuck, I don't know if I can find the tweet. Oh, these things kind of instigating. Did China ask us if it was okay to devalue their currency? Like all of these things. Like Trump has tweeted more, kind of poking and prodding. You know that chicken shit doesn't work with other countries, right? That's some bullshit games that he can play as a businessman because he has a lot of money, right? But he can't get away with that same shit on the political level. This is the kind of shit that I'm talking about that doesn't fly just because you're a successful businessman. Playing business is one thing, right? Whatever the fuck he does in the business world is fine. But when you're actually talking like entire countries that have a lot of history behind them, that it's a much different game. You can't play chicken with these people and expect them to back out because you're worth whatever retarded amount of money that you lie you're worth about. Right? When you're talking on the world stage with entire countries, it's a lot different. I'm sorry. I guess I bring this all back because he's like, I think he has the temperament, and I feel like Trump. Here's my question to you: what could Trump actually do to show you that he doesn't have the temperament to handle this job? Because it seems like any reasonable person, he's shown it a million times over. Like
doing exactly the opposite of what I said, which is making tweets to people that are rather important, that actually have some weight, not just people that don't matter.
When you call out the entire country of China, do you think that matters? So like in this tweet,
he called out the entire.
Did China ask us if it was okay to devalue their currency, making it hard for our companies to compete heavily? So when Trump makes out these tweets calling out an entire country, I think he did the same thing with Taiwan. Didn't he say something like, it's funny that we sold $13 billion of weapons in Taiwan, but we're not allowed to recognize them as a country? Like he's made tweets to specific countries and calling out specific things
Is
before.
any of this true?
Sure,
yeah, then what?
What, you don't think that being a little bit diplomatic or approaching these situations when you're dealing with other world superpowers maybe should require a little bit more careful handling than just firing off these fucking bombs on Twitter and hoping that they land in the right spot and that people don't get too angry about them? Like,
I don't know. All right. I'll agree with you there. I don't think you should be tweeting about it.
Okay.
I'll agree with you there.
I guess
and,
I love you and I appreciate you, and I mean you're 15 years old, but you're braver than most people that you actually come on and have this conversation, and most people aren't willing to do it. But it seems like by the end of all of this, it seems like there's not too many great reasons to stand by Trump.
Well, all right. I think if I was more equipped with experience under my belt, maybe I would have had some more. But I really don't got anything but
if you find a
when I went
guy,
to
are your
school.
parents big Trump supporters?
Yeah.
Do you consider your
And that- I
parents to be
mean,
pretty
and-
intelligent?
My mom, not at all. My dad, very much so.
Okay, well,
I've
if your
never
dad ever
actually
wants
heard
to
him.
hop on or something, like, I mean, I can go that
No,
route too if you
because
want.
I'm a little scared that you'd fuck my dad, and I really don't want you to do that.
But it's a good learning experience for everybody, right?
I mean, hey, it might be. I mean,
Sure. So if you
He's
find
a little
anybody
rough.
else that you consider to be really well read or really whatever, like this is my problem, okay? I reach a couple thousand people on my live stream or whatever, and then maybe 10, 20, 30,000 via my Twitter and my YouTube, okay? If you think about how people work natural, okay? I'm a pretty vocal person, okay? And I'm pretty arrogant. I have an ego. I'm not going to lie about that, right? So somebody showing up to shut me down on everything I'm saying would feel so fucking good. I have a hard time believing that the facts aren't on my side if these people aren't climbing out of the woodwork to show me how fucking stupid I am. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe like nobody gives a fuck about me, but I mean, at the very least, in my little sphere of influence where there are so many Trump supporters, it seems strange that nobody has like stepped on to show me how fucking wrong and stupid I am and all of these things that I'm saying, right? That's just a little bit strange to me, you know?
I don't know.
Because it's like given the opportunity to. I know that if I was
I'm not
watching
gonna
somebody
lie,
that's
I felt the same way
sure.
until like about right now.
All right. Well, listen, dude. I love you. I wish you the best in school. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody since you came on and you were brave as fuck and talked to me for this long?
I'm pretty sure there's actually a fuck ton of people that actually want to talk to you, not just me.
I try every day, dude. I don't know.
Didn't you like ban political debates? I tried getting on here before. You know who actually sent me here?
Oh.
You remember when you were playing that weird fucking game that I don't like, the one where you're like running around making shit.
Factorio.
And then, well, yeah. That's it. And then someone joined your Discord and said, "Is this where you go to join the Kux Klux Clickers?" And then left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kid's in my German class. He loves you.
Oh, well, there you
suck
go.
your
That
dick
guy
really
was a meme in my, he was a meme in one of the most recent videos, and everybody pointed him out and
meme
loved
right
him, so, no, you're not a meme. You're a cool dude. You sound like a reasonably intelligent dude, which is a big compliment.
You're the fucking reason I started playing StarCraft again, and then I stopped.
Oh. Well,
Yeah. You know what's even funnier?
what's that?
Me and my friend were talking, right? So when I was really young, when I was really fucking young, I mean so young, I sounded like 5 times worse than right now. And I was playing StarCraft. I had Skype. I was on someone's stream, and they offered to coach me, and I was like, oh fuck yeah. And I would always call them by like their team tag that was under their name, and they would teach me how to forgate. And I would always call them by their team tag and not by like their actual name. And it lasted for a couple of days before I kept calling them their team tag. And then they're like, that's not my fucking name. And I'm like, well, I don't care. He goes, well, if you don't care, then fuck off. And he blocked me. And I was like, whoa, dude was actually pretty good. And he taught me how to forgate. I never spoke to him ever again. And I told that to my friend, Kux Klux guy, right? And he said, that might have been Destiny. And I'm like, why do you think it was Destiny? He goes, because what was he on? I'm like, he was probably on Team Liquid. I called him Lick. He goes, yeah. So,
Wow.
that might have been you.
Maybe, dude. It might have been. Here, there's a. You can send this to your friend. Look, in my subreddit, look, I got it voted. People recognized his meme, and they were laughing at it. So, there you go, dude. Your friend is pretty much famous now. He's in one of my YouTube videos.
Yeah. Hey, Destiny.
What?
Maybe sometime you should coach me, man.
I'll think
You
about
coach
it.
me
Okay?
in politics, all right? I think about it.
All right. Okay, wait. I love you, buddy. Okay, have fun. Be careful.
I'll be careful, my dude.
Was never on Team Liquid. Maybe he meant on the website. I don't know.